Good evening, sir. What's happening?
Well, it's been a bit of a crazy game so far. Abby getting scored on the penalty on the power play. So, and also allowing two power play goals against, which obviously hasn't happened because they had only given up like one or two before this. So that's probably a down to start it off with the Abby penalty kill not being able to keep things even.
Yeah, Texas definitely on the power play there had Abbotsford running around a bit on that first one where Lind just kind of spun around and beat Shilovs. Um, Very uncharacteristic, obviously, of the Abbotsford penalty kill, which has been incredibly stout these playoffs. But good on Texas for going to the video room clearly and coming up with a different game plan. It obviously helps getting a NHL defenseman with 260 games under his belt to come back into your lineup to play the blue line in Petrovic. So that was going to be a bit of a pain in the butt for these Abbey Canucks. And that's already showing. He's kind of throwing his weight around there. At the end of the second, he kind of dumped Baines on his butt in the crease. Never hurts when you get that kind of veteran back. So Abbotsford did, manage to hang in there in the first and keep it a 1-goal game. Blumel finally getting one and getting two past Shilovs after Shilovs robbed him blind there early in the first.
Yeah.
But then Blumel successful from almost the same spot twice back to back. Not really anything Shilovs could do on any of those goals. He's still playing a really solid game. Just not the first period the Abbotsford Canucks wanted to come out with. You knew it was going to be tough. Texas was going to have a lot of energy with the home building. That top line got a little bit of a shuffle, and that seemed to spark them. So down to no panic really. The Abbey Canucks have come back from down going into the third in the past, but definitely not playing the game we're used to them playing. Not using their body as much when you're kind of finding the penalty box a bit and the penalty kill is not going as well. You tend to back away from the physical play with the worry that you're going to take another penalty. So just need them to come out in the third and play a little more of their game and drive the play the way they have in game 1 and game 2. But even if they do end up losing this game, I mean, they're still up in the series, and it's just a case of not every game is going to go exactly how you want it in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of those things too. And we were chatting about it earlier. It looks like Aquilini actually did. It's very rare we give the Aquaman an up, but he did end up getting a chartered flight, private jet for the Abbey Canucks to fly from Vancouver all the way down to Texas. So we did see them. They flew down yesterday at noon on a private jet. So we'll give an up to the Aquaman for the first time, I think, ever.
Ever.
He throws another thing is when it comes from a billionaire, like a private jet flight really isn't that big of an investment for a guy like that. So it is nice of him to do, but it's not like it's going to break the bank for a guy like that.
No, but it is nice to give credit where credit is due, I guess. And it is something he did go above and beyond to be paying attention to they do own these Abbey Canucks, and they are important to the Vancouver Canucks organization. So good on him for investing in these young guys who are having an incredible run in these playoffs. No one thought they would get this. Every game is a bonus for them. Have overperformed all season long, and whatever happens at this point. I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Lots of goals in this game. We didn't see a lot of that through the first two games. First two games, there was a total of 6 goals, and we've already seen 6 goals in this one game. Does that just probably come down to the fact that, there was travel for both these teams, and Texas obviously is feeling a little more comfortable playing at home?
Yeah, and I think it's just neither of these teams played each other all season long, so you're going to find little nuances where there's going to be a gap here or there. You saw a couple of set plays work back to back on the power play for Texas, and Abbotsford as well too, getting 2 power play goals. So that's good for Abbotsford to capitalize on their chances as well. It's just unfortunate they gave up the shorthanded goal because I think if going into the second period tied, they would have been able to drive the play a little differently.
Yeah.
And then was really just kind of a unfortunate bounce there. She Loves goes for a poke check and it goes right to Stranges. So I'm not really upset with the way they're playing. The first period, they did get pushed back a little bit, which was a bit predictable considering Texas was going to have so much of that home crowd energy ready to go. I didn't see them giving up 18 shots on net, which is not something that Abbotsford does very often. But they righted the ship in the second period, kept it pretty even. It was only 1 goal, shots 7-7. So hopefully they can come out and get an early one in the third, in the first 5 minutes or so, and then just push for that tying goal and maybe get it to overtime or get lucky and get ahead and get up 3-0 in this series.
You don't normally give it down for both sides, but we're going to give it down to the penalty kill for both sides, because if you're looking here, you can actually see all the goals except for the 1 shorthanded goal in the first period. So 5 goals in the first period, 4 of them were on the power play. So absolutely ridiculous that between the two teams, they were only managing to kill off 1 power play. So, but as you can see from that graphic as well, 5 goals in the first was a lot of chaos. Everything kind of settled down there in the second period and things got a little bit more straightforward, which is probably a good sign for the Abbey Canucks because they do tend to play a little bit more of a structured game like that.
For sure. You can tell that both those teams went into the first intermission and both those coaches went, stay out of the goddamn penalty box.
All right. So the Selke trophy was just handed out. I saw there was some event down in Florida and they literally just brought the Selke trophy over for Barkov. So Barkov ends up winning it. We're not going to talk about it extensively, but there was a dozen people who have a vote who did not have Barkov in any of their voting from 1 to 5. So some of them, I won't read the names out, but there were some people who were like, yeah, they would. So the media can't be trusted a lot of the time. But the reason we're talking about it is because a certain Vancouver Canuck who is not technically under contract got a vote there. And let's see, I'm going to end the poll question here. Which Canuck player got a Selke vote? EP 40, 22%, Garland 22%, Hughes got 20%. 20% of you don't know that it's for forwards. And 37% of you got it right. So that does mean that, you are right. 37%. Pius Suter did end up getting a vote there, which I don't know if you can even see right now, but let's zoom in on it. So you can see here on the graphic, Pius Suter at the very, very bottom. He's tied for 37th at the very, very bottom for getting a vote. What does that mean for the Canucks trying to re-sign him? Is that going to make him more expensive? Or are we just essentially writing off Suter signing again with the Canucks?
I think that ship had sailed when Suter put up 20-plus goals, and they didn't trade him at the deadline. I think he's going to get a pretty healthy payday on July 1st. And really, that's just Daniel Wagner 2 years in a row. He does it for clout farming. Just strictly so he can put the tweet out there that I was the one vote for Pius Suter.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it has really no bearing on his value going forward. The play he had this season spoke for itself, and he's earned his right to go to free agency and get the most that he can. But it's just silly that anyone who follows Pass It to Boulis on X knows exactly why that vote got made. And it's just Daniel Wagner pumping his own tires and pushing his own follow count.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that goes. At the end of the day, I've always found these kind of vote things kind of comical because it is a lot of just media guys. And it's like, I don't know if these guys are really qualified to make these decisions, but a lot of them don't watch a single game for some of these players. So how can you make a vote if you haven't watched enough games? So there should be some kind of a knowledge test before they get there voted, I think.
Oh, exactly. The NHL award voting has always been a little bit suspect. So, at the end of the day, a lot of it becomes a popularity contest. Um, you know, Barkov, obviously great player, but there are probably, 10 other players in the league that probably had a better combination offensive defensive season.
It's more of a legacy award, I guess, then. Tax-free cup. So we got the Florida Panthers living in a tax-free state. And the reason we're talking about this is because there's starting to be rumblings that coming up with the new CBA negotiation that they're going to start looking at compensating and making things a little more even. Because obviously, if you're playing in a state like Florida, if you're playing in Vegas, there is no state tax. And so you can make a lot more money. So surprise, surprise, if you look at the last 10 Stanley Cup finals, only 3 teams came from non-tax free states. And those 3 teams had generational players, aka Nate McKinnon and Carey Price, to name a couple of those. So, do you think that is very important for the integrity of the game moving forward to trying to make the Stanley Cup more achievable, not based on whether or not you have state taxes?
Oh, 100%. You look at some, not just the Canadian teams that this is a burden on, because I mean we've talked about the exchange rate and how that affects the Canadian teams as well. Like all the NHL business is conducted in US dollars. So as fans, when they see certain things and us pushing and us spending to the cap, I mean we have to do that just to stay relatively competitive. The no trade clauses that Vancouver Canucks players have to be given. That's just to get these guys to stay here and be part of this organization. Um, and it's not because guys don't like the city of Vancouver. Their agents have a job to do, and that's to get them the most money for the longest amount of time possible. An agent wouldn't be doing his job if he was getting phone calls from Florida versus phone calls from, Buffalo, or even Ontario teams. Like if he's getting phone calls from Toronto and Ottawa and they're offering you, $8 million in Toronto and Ottawa, you're going to be paying Canadian taxes on that. And you're also going to have to convert it to Canadian dollars. And if Florida calls you and offers you $7 million, you don't pay taxes on anything and you're probably taking home more money at the end of the day. So they can sign guys to more cap friendly deals and entice them to come play for the team. I mean, Florida's got $20 million in cap space next year, and they're really only losing Sam Bennett if they lose him.
They're not going to lose him.
It's unreal the position that they're in going forward. In 2027, they could have like $62 million in cap space in 2 years.
Yeah, cap
they're
going
just
up.
positioned so incredibly well that no one can really compete with that.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I think if you took the top 4 salaries on Edmonton and the top 4 salaries on Florida, I think there's an $11 million gap. That's enough to sign Pedersen, right? Right. You could sign an entire new player if you wanted to.
Yeah, and also look at the quality of living as well. You if you're living in Florida versus Toronto, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? And also the cost of living. $500,000 in Florida is going to get you a mansion on the water with like a pool. It'll get you a shanty in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So that's all relative. So it's tough, but yeah, I think that absolutely the next CBA has to go through and figure that out.
Stanley Cup is set. It's rematch. Starting on Wednesday night. Dustin, why is Florida going to win the Stanley Cup?
I mean, partly for the reasons we talked about. They're just a dominant team. They have 4 lines that can roll right through you, and all 4 of those lines can put the puck in the net. They have 3 of the most annoying players on the planet to play against. In Marchand, Bennett, and Tkachuk, and they're all kind of firing on all cylinders. Bobrovsky is playing incredible hockey in net. He's very tough to beat right now, and Yeah, like they don't show any signs of fatigue for being in their third straight Stanley Cup final. It's absolutely incredible how well they're still playing, and I really don't know what Edmonton is going to. Well, it
Well,
could be
that's my
another one
next
of those.
question.
It's going to be a battle, seven games, I think.
So why does Edmonton win? If they win.
If they win, they need to have the same goaltending performance that Stuart Skinner put up against Dallas in the finals. That seemingly kind of came out of nowhere, where Skinner decided he was going to be a starting goalie. And also, they played some pretty good defense for a change, which is unusual of Edmonton. They were playing two-way hockey. And once they were getting ahead, they were playing the right way. And so they look like they've learned a few things. One thing that might go against them is dependent on Zach Hyman's health. That's a big loss going into the finals if he's not ready to go for them. Those are some big shoes to fill and a lot of points. So, there's a little bit of an edge for Florida there, but I honestly would expect this to probably go 7 games again, and it's going to be an absolute war.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason I think Edmonton probably still has a chance, even with Hyman leaving the series and not probably going to be playing all their saying surgery, so there's probably no chance he comes back unless there's some miracle. But getting Ekholm back in exchange for Hyman, pretty much at the same game, having that really good defenseman coming back in the lineup probably helps you a little bit, but still going to be tough against the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. We'll have to see how game 1 goes. Obviously, they get going on Wednesday night. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. It sucks when it's the same teams again, but, it's the Stanley Cup. It's going to be great hockey. You can't deny the two teams that are there are absolutely phenomenal hockey teams. So we'll just have to see what they bring to the table.
Can't be any worse than the conference finals were.
There you go.
Awesome, Dustin. Enjoy the third period, and we'll chat in the post game.
You too. Talk to you then.
Nothing is perfect.